Okay, so we're going to look at, hopefully we have the first page already filled out. We're going to look at the second page just to see if you get a little help. So at the top it says solving two-step equations, integers. So we'll do that first box there. Just arrange this, okay? So you notice that we have two steps. We have addition, and we have timesing. Sometimes I write them down. I'll even put them in the corner that we're adding and timesing. Now remember our steps. What are the two, which one do we do first? Well, normally, order of operations, this would come first. But remember, we're in reverse order of operations. So just kind of down the side of my paper, I'm going to write, please excuse. But I'm going to put an arrow going the other way. So I remember, okay, this goes up. We start with A and S, addition and subtraction. So we're adding 3. So what's the opposite? The inverse of adding 3 is subtracting 3. If I do that, these 3's cancel. They always do. And I get 5x is all that's left, only on the left-hand side. On the right side, 8 minus 3 is 5. And the next step is to say, okay, that's 5 times x, and that's the next thing we do. Remember, reverse order of operations. We did A and S, now we're doing M and D. How do we undo timesing? We divide both sides by 5. Now if we divide by 5, 5 and 5, they always cancel. That's always what happens. We have x left over. How about 5 divided by 5 on the other side? We get 1. Use a calculator if you need to, but we get 1. Don't forget, we probably should check our answer. 5 times 1 plus 3, is that 8? And it is. Try one of these fraction ones. Now remember, the first thing we want to do with the fraction ones is put the top in parentheses. So really, we don't have any adding. We have p, parentheses, and we have dividing. Now which is going to come first? Well, reverse order of operations, dividing comes first. So we're going to get rid of that division part. So how do we get rid of dividing? We multiply by 2. Both sides. Kind of hard to see. Now these 2's will cancel. We're left with a plus 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. We only have one negative, so it stays negative. And we say, okay, now what? Well, now we have adding. So we're really in the parentheses stage, but how do we undo that? We minus 2. 2's cancel. We have a left over. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. We're at $2, we lose another $2. Okay? How about this one down here? This time we have dividing. There's our fraction, that's our dividing. And we have adding. No parentheses, because there's only one thing up top, right? So this one's a little bit different. So we're going to start by minusing 7. Now why minus 7 first? Well, we have to undo addition and subtraction first. Remember, reverse order of operations. A and S come first. And these are foldable to help you too. These 7's cancel, they always do. We get x over 5 is left over. It's divided by 5. 11 minus 7, we get 4. We say, okay, now what are we doing? Now we're dividing by 5, so the opposite of dividing by 5 is to times by 5. But we have to do it to both sides. Those 5's cancel, they always do. We get x left over, 4 times 5 is 20. And we probably should try and plug that into the equation. 20 divided by 5 plus 7. What do we get? Do we get 11? So check and see. Last one I'm going to do with you is this one over here, and it is a little tougher. Okay, but the reason it's tougher is because of the negatives. So first of all, what do we have going on? We have some minusing. Now that first one's a negative. We do have minusing, and we also have 2 times m. Remember, that's what that means. So reverse order of operations, we're going to start with the adding and subtracting. Now which one are we really minusing? Here's what I would do first. The very first thing I would do is switch the order of these two terms. Switch them. So let's make it 2m, and there's a negative in front, minus 6. That way the letter comes first. And I like doing the variable first, putting it first. Because now we see, oh, we're subtracting 6. That would have been hard to tell at first, right? So we add 6 to both sides. Remember, we're undoing addition, subtraction first. Those cancel. We have negative 2m left equals 16. 10 plus 6, right? We say that's negative 2 times m. Opposite of timesing is to divide. But what did I forget? We want times by 2, but not just 2, negative 2. That way the negative 2's cancel. And what are we left with? M equals, well, 16 divided by 2 is 8. We have one negative, so it stays as a negative. So hopefully that helps you a little bit, gives you a head start. Of course, you can always ask more questions as you go.